T. Clark here with the 2019 AP Computer Science A FRQ question 4B. So this method, this problem, we're still in the class for light board. We still have access to the light's instance variable, which is a two-dimensional Boolean array. And our task is to write the method evaluate light, which computes and returns the status of a light at a given row and column based on the following rules. So the first condition is if the light's on, and if the number of lights in the column are even. The number of lights that are on are even. Then return false. Second condition, if the light is off, and the number of lights in the column that are on is divisible by 3, then return true. Otherwise, just return the status, whether it's on or off, true or false. So if I create a simulation light board with 7, 5 as the rows and columns, and I have the setup as seen in the graphic right here. So I have 7 rows, 0 through 6, and 5 columns, 0 through 4. Then what happens with all these calls down below? So let's look at these. So the first call is evaluate light at 0, 3. So I go to 0, over to 3, and it's true. That means the light is on. So I'm looking at the first condition right here, if the light is on. And then what I have to do is count the number of lights in that column to be even or odd. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4. That is even, so this is true, but then it means I return false. So that's why it's false. Second example, evaluate light at 6, 0. 6, 0 is false. So that means I'm at condition 2 because the light is off. And then I count the number of lights on, true, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lights are on in that column. That means it is divisible by 3. So I return true for condition 2. Third example, evaluate light at 4, 1. So I go no, 4, row 4, and column 1 is false. So I have to look at condition 2 again. Light is off. And I want to count the number of trues. The number of ons is 1, 2. That is not divisible by 3. That means I return the light's current status. So 4, 1 was false, so I return false. Last one, evaluate lights 5, 4. So I go to 5, 4. It's true, so it might be condition 1. So I have to count a number of trues, and there are 5. So that is not even. So again, I return the light's current status, which at 5, 4 is true. So that's how this problem is supposed to be solved. And to set up coding it, first thing I need to know is what's the row and column. So that's the parameters, row, column. I also have to know how many are true in each column. So that's the first thing I'm going to code, is I'm going to code a tally. So I start counting at 0, and I'm going to loop over the number of rows. So the reason I'm looping over the number of rows is because in a column, what's changing here? In this example column, the 3 doesn't change. What changes is the current row. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as I go down. So the column though, so if I try to do if lights are C like normal, that won't work because where is C? There is no C. What instead I have to do is use the column parameter here. So if it's on, I'm going to say count it up. That way I get 1, 2, 3, 4. And I could have put equals equals true if I wanted to, but since it's already a Boolean, I do not need that part. So now I have my setup. I have the number of lights in this column that are on, number of lights in column that are on. Now I can do condition 1. Condition 1 says if the lights are on. So the way to know if the lights are on is to get, based on the parameters, row and column, if it's on, remember this is if it's equal true. I don't need that part, but I do need to see if the tally that I just counted up is even. And remember, is even means the remainder when dividing by 2 is 0. And so what I just did for 16, I said if the light is on, over here, if the light's on, if the number of lights on the column is even, number of lights on are even, then return false. Return false. So that's condition 1. Condition 2 is almost the same, but instead of on, I'm going to say not on. So I'll use the exclamation mark to designate not. So if the current light is not on, and you could have, instead, you could have said if it is false, that would have been fine. But I'll keep the way I had it before. So if it's not on, and the tally is divisible by 3. So divisible by 3 means the remainder when divided by 3, there is none. And then return true, because up here it says to return true. So again, if the light is off, if the light is off, and it's divisible by 3, number of lights on in that column is divisible by 3, and return true, return true. So that's the third condition. And the last condition says, otherwise return the light's current status. So otherwise return current light's status. So one mistake people might make, I already said, was if you use RC right here. Remember, we're not iterating over the number of columns, we're iterating over the number of rows, and the column stays the same. And we count however many are on, how many are true for that column. I just use the same row and column from the parameter when I'm doing the condition. So again, if I look at the example, row is 0, column is 3. So I'm looking at the true or false at 0, 3. So that's my 2019 AP Computer Science A FRQ 4B.